Hi there. It has been a while. I have wanted to do this recipe for a long time, and I guess it's just December, and so I just started thinking about Christmas things and things I like to make for Christmas for the holidays, and peanut brittle is one of those things. Now, my entire life, my entire adult life anyway, I wanted to make peanut brittle, and I was always very intimidated by making peanut brittle. I've never been a fan of using a candy thermometer. I don't know if I don't have the patience. I don't know what it is, but that's not my favorite thing to do. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine gave me a recipe for microwave peanut brittle. And so far, it has been foolproof. It is made in small batches, but I mean, honestly, one batch is a great little batch to just make, and it's really fun. Sometimes I'll get a little bit crazy and make back-to-back batches, but now that takes a little bit of coordination. But tonight we're just going to make one batch. So I'm going to go over now. The key to making this is to have all your ingredients ready, like measured out, set aside, portioned correctly, so they are ready to mix just as soon as it comes out of the microwave. The microwave there is specific times to heat it in the microwave, and you just follow the procedures, and it works well, or so it has for me. So just a couple of things. So I'll go over the ingredients first, and then I'll go over them as we put them in the recipe. So stick with me. This is going to move pretty quick. In between, now there'll be some microwave times that I'll just have to kind of talk through, but that's okay. We'll get through there. So the first thing you're going to need is a glass bowl. You need a glass bowl. You need 2 wooden spoons, and you need a small cookie sheet or sheet pan, something with a little bit of an edge. You're going to need a cup of raw peanuts. Now this is raw peanuts. See, these have not been roasted. And they're still in the little shell, like these are just like the old-fashioned peanut. These are not like a can of peanuts with salt and, they've been roasted or toasted or whatever. These are raw peanuts. This is what you want to get for peanut brittle. You're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of butter, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, baking soda. 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of corn syrup, light corn syrup, and I have Karo on hand right now. Sometimes I just have generic, but it's light corn syrup, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So what I do is I measure out all my ingredients, and I don't know if you can see this or not. So like right here, I have my peanuts in a bowl, I have my salt measured out, I have my sugar measured out, my Karo, my butter, my baking soda, and my vanilla that I'll measure out as I need it. So, okay, step number 1. Let's get started. Step number 1, mix 1 cup of sugar and 1/2 cup Karo in this bowl. So I'm going to put my sugar in. I'm going to put my Karo in, okay? I sprayed this measuring cup just real lightly so it helps that Karo come out a little bit. You don't want to put much, okay? So then you're just going to stir this around some. It's not going to mix up perfectly because that sugar needs to dissolve for that to happen. So here's where you need your 2 wooden spoons. So you're going to push that sugar off onto that bowl, okay? Into the bowl. Okay, so once you get that 1/2 cup Karo or corn syrup and 1 cup of granulated sugar, this is going to go in the microwave for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Exactly, okay? I've moved my microwave. It's in a weird place right now just so you can see this process. So 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay? You just let that go. Yeah, so peanut brittle has always been one of those things that intimidated me greatly. Now, my sister and her husband, I think it was maybe a husband's recipe. I won't swear to that. He might correct me, but they used to make this around Christmas time in huge batches. And I'm sure they did it the old-fashioned way with the candy thermometer and those kind of things. They made huge batches, and they would send a tin of that to Tennessee. They were in New Mexico, and they would send a tin of that to Tennessee. And we all looked forward to getting Eddie's peanut brittle. It was delicious. So I'm going to go ahead while we're waiting, and I'm going to spray this lightly with a little bit of cooking spray. Whatever you have works. You can use butter. You just want something on there just so your peanut brittle doesn't stick, so it'll release at some point. So when this comes out, I'll just give you a heads up. So the next thing you're going to have ready is your peanuts. See, I have my peanuts and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now what I normally do is I just add those together, okay? So when this comes out of the microwave, this is the next thing to go in. I'm going to dump it in, stir it up pretty fast, and then it's going to go back in the microwave. This time of year, I get so anxious about goodies, making Christmas goodies. I love to make fudge. Again, I want to make my granny's fudge. She did old-fashioned cocoa fudge. She didn't have a candy thermometer, but she did the soft ball stage where she dropped it in ice water and checked it. I've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, and I just cannot get it right. So, otherwise, I've probably tried every fudge recipe there is. Now, I'll be honest, I've not met a fudge I didn't like. I like fudge, but I really want my granny's fudge, and it wasn't the marshmallow fudge. She didn't do that. This was it was cut in tiny, tiny little squares. And I mean, to be honest with you, if you ate too much of it, it would make your tongue sore. It was kind of almost a dry fudge, but it was so, so, so good. But I like to do lots of goodies at Christmas. One thing I made a couple of years ago was some cut sugar cookies, like with cutters, like different shapes and stuff. And then I tried my hand at the royal icing, you know. It was fun, but I think it took me 3 days to make a batch of cookies. By the time I did the dough, cut them out, baked them, then I got around, I had to make the royal frosting, and then just, of course, I was being meticulous about getting the frosting right, and I wanted to do all these cute little shapes. I really think it took me about 3 days to make a batch of cookies. Not to say I won't try it again, because I enjoy that, and it's kind of therapeutic for me. I love being in the kitchen. It's kind of therapy. So this one's fixing to come out. There we go. Now, you be careful. You see this, how yeah, that's really hot. Okay. So now we're going to stir in 1 cup of peanuts and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which I already put in there, okay? So I'm going to get my wooden spoon. That just dumps in. I'm just going to give it a quick stir. It doesn't need a whole lot of stirring. This goes back in the microwave for 2 minutes and 35 seconds. That's the hardest part of it. I mean, just follow the steps. This is step 2. This is the step 2 in 4-step process. Yeah, so I'm hoping to make a few more things before Christmas, and I'll try to do some videos. If it's worth doing a video, sometimes it's just about getting in the kitchen and just making something. So, what are things you guys like to make? I love finding new recipes, old recipes. What I find is things that were so great back in the day, like back in the olden days where they used to talk about how wonderful something was, and now even those same people, you can make those things and it's not so grand. But I think, for my thinking, back in the day, there was not an abundance of snacks and sweets, and everything you had, you made from scratch or made from the things you had. And so it probably was quite a treat and quite delicious back then. And now, while it's fun to do and it's fun to see things that were made back then, it might not quite be as good as we thought it was, or as good as it was to those folks back then. Now this brittle, I have done this instead of with peanuts, I've done it with cashews. Oh my goodness, now that's really good. I love that too. I love cashew brittle, and it's fun, it's easy to make, and you just follow the same procedure, just use cashews. And I actually I feel like I actually bought like canned cashews and used those. I don't remember. I feel like it was, but it's really good. Now, listen, the secret, I don't know the secret once you get this done, to getting the bowl clean, the bowl and the utensils, because it sets up like rock candy on the bowl and the wooden spoons. So what I have found is soaking. I just soak it in good soapy hot water for a while, and then that'll all break loose. I don't know how else to get it off. Miss Diane gave me the recipe. Miss Diane, if you're watching, if you'll send me the secret to getting the bowl clean quicker, that would be great. Now you have to really be careful, because it's going to start, depends on your bowl, it could really start getting hot. Okay, so step 3, you're going to stir in one teaspoon of butter and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to laugh. This is a 1/2 teaspoon measure. And if you've followed me at any point, you know I can't find my teaspoon measure. See how hot that is? It is very hot. So you just stir that up, use your other spoon to get that. Oh, it smells so good. Already, that smells so good. Get that off, get that sugar off, okay? This is going to go back in the microwave for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Now, this will be the last microwave round. So when this comes out, that's when you stir in 1 teaspoon of baking soda. You're going to stir it pretty fast, and it's going to foam up. So don't think something's wrong with it. You're going to stir it pretty fast, and then you're going to get it on your pan really fast. And it really will pretty much spread out by itself. You may have to give it a little bit of help, but don't work with it a lot, because it's going to set up pretty fast. And then I'll let it cool and then come back and show you how it looks and just about breaking it up. Of course, the breaking it up part is just how big do you want your pieces of peanut brittle? Do you want them to be big chunks? Do you want little bitty pieces? I like a little of both. This is one of those recipes, once you make this, if you've never made peanut brittle, but you love peanut brittle and you love giving, listen, people love to get this as gifts. I promise you, this is a big deal to people when they get homemade peanut brittle. Once you make this recipe, you will not want to lose it. This is the way to go for peanut brittle for those of us who are not fans of using a candy thermometer. You might love that. You might love making candy with a candy thermometer. That's not my favorite thing to do. Okay. All right. Here goes. I'm gonna set this. Maybe you can see how it'll foam up. Okay. So here I have measured out my teaspoon of baking soda. So it goes in. And then we're going to stir, stir, stir. Okay, can you see how that's foaming up? Okay, just make sure it's stirred good, and then you're going to pour it. Pour it quickly, quickly, quickly. It's already setting up on the bowl like it's really starting to get hard already, okay? And then I just usually just kind of let it settle itself in. You can spread it out a little bit and you'll get little holes in it but it'll settle, it'll fill in. Okay. Guess what? That's it. Now see how hard that's getting on that bowl already? So I'm gonna put this in some hot dish water. Ooh, that pan's hot. Be careful. Do you see that? Is that gorgeous or what? You can still kind of spread it out a little bit so it thins it some. Okay, I'm gonna let this set and harden up, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Hang out. Okay, our peanut brittle has cooled off and hardened. I got a little knife just to get up under the edge of it, and then at this point, you're just gonna break it. You're gonna, listen, I just moved that pan and it just popped off in one big piece. This is how it would look. It's just one solid piece of candy, and you're just gonna break, like you're gonna start breaking it in pieces. Hear that nice brittle snap? Now, you can make good sized little pieces, you can make small pieces. It's gonna come apart to some degree and, like it's gonna come in little crumbles. You're gonna keep every last crumble. You're not gonna throw anything away. But that's it. Just break that brittle up. And then I usually put this in an airtight container or a Ziploc bag for later. Keep it and it'll last. This stuff will last a long time. That's it. That's all there is to it. Show you. It makes, this is a good batch. That's a good batch of peanut brittle, That would make a lovely gift. Put it in a cute little treat bag, Christmas treat bag. It's so yummy. I'm going to have to hide this, actually. My daddy loves peanut brittle. I think we all like peanut brittle. All my kids, when they see this video, they're going to be wanting to know where the peanut brittle is. And then I dump all the little crumbs in there. So there you go. So this is a gallon Ziploc bag, so it's less than half full, but that is a good mess of peanut butter, so to speak. But that's a good amount of peanut butter for that batch. It's a batch. So make some peanut brittle and send me a message, send me a picture, let me know how it went, let me know how you like it, and thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas.